Alright, y'all. So I was originally not even going to speak on this topic, but then a thought came to mind that I felt would be, um, would be relevant to the discussion, and one that is not of the vein of the gender war bullshit, class war bullshit. And a lot of people are talking about, are going to say if they already haven't made their content on it. So, and there is that. So, with that warning being said, if you came here looking for that stuff, if you wanted me to side with Klay Thompson because he's a man, or side with Megan or whatever, I'm not choosing sides in this situation here. And I can even acknowledge my point of view. What I'm going to say here might be furthest from the truth. It could simply just be that, the reason why Klay cheated, if he did cheat, is because he is not monogamous, or, whatever reason for why someone cheated. My what I have to say here is just my potential assessment on what could be what could be the reason. It's not insider thoughts. It's not. I'm no psychologist. I'm not Trey. I'm not. I was about to call him Trey. I'm not Ice Trey Klay. I'm not his psychologist if he has one. So I don't know for a fact what's going on with the brother. I hope he's in good spirits. I hope Megan is in good spirits. I know, or at least based off of what people were saying, because I don't pay attention to Meg like that. Nothing against her. It's just I don't be following even the celebrities that whether I'm a fan of their music or fan of them, what they do, fan of them being a basketball player like Klay. I don't be following celebs like that. And then once I do follow, not follow because they're a personality online and not necessarily because of who they are offline, right? I follow what they do online because, again, they're at least active online and active in a way that isn't just look at me, look at this picture of me. It's more so active of actually sharing their thoughts. So those are the celebrities that I, that I follow, or the ones who just remind me of that they're regular people, But nonetheless, here, I wanted to share my thoughts on this discussion. And yeah, so as I stated before, it's not going to be the gender war BS. So if you came here for that, click off this video now. As I title it, it's the only video you need to watch. So if you came to watch something else of that, and then you're not ready to have a discussion, you're not ready for any type of maturity, really. So click off this video and click back on when you're actually ready to consume this topic, right? But I think one of the underlining, or just one thing that is not being discussed, or will never be, I won't say never, because I can discuss it and it's been discussed, right? No matter how many other people discuss it or watch this video. But one of the things I feel as though goes under the radar when it comes to men specifically, like Trey, I keep calling him Trey for some reason, Klay Thompson, right? Maybe the Ice Trey Klay is what I keep calling him, right? Like a Klay Thompson, right? When it comes to cheating, or just an aspect of cheating, is I think what people don't discuss, or people don't know because it's not really discussed, is there's a part of sex that, both men and women, but I can only speak as a man, that when we are having sex with, partners, right? And not even just the actual act of having sex with them. It's the simple fact that you ended up getting somebody that maybe you thought was unattainable, or was unattainable for a lot of other men out there who've been wanting to have sex with this individual and haven't had luck. Um, but with that being said, I think part of why Klay did what he did is because he wants to feel like a man again. Now, I should have said this at the very beginning. I'm gonna say it now though. None of what he, none of what I'm saying here is excusing cheating. It's excusing any man, whether it's Ice Trey Klay, you know what I'm saying, Klay Thompson, or any other man for that matter for um, cheating, or anybody for cheating. None of that is excusable, no matter what trauma, no matter what the self-esteem issue of that individual is or may be. It doesn't excuse the act of cheating. If you are someone who uses sex as a way of numbing, masking your feelings, or just to feel good, be mindful that other people are affected by your actions, especially if you are in a monogamous or seemingly monogamous relationship. You should understand that if you are in a relationship with somebody and you know for a fact, and this comes with knowing yourself enough, and I think Trey Thompson, let's run with it, fuck it. But no, I think Klay Thompson, you know, I don't think he's 100% comfortable with himself, but I also don't think that he is totally oblivious about who he is and all this other stuff, or just how he is and how he wants to maneuver within the world of dating. With that being said, do I believe he got into a relationship with Meg Thee Stallion, him knowing that he is someone who is either non-committal or didn't want the relationship to last for a long time? Yeah, I believe so. I don't believe he went into the relationship with very much intentions of it lasting for as long as it did, or lasting, you know, forever, right? Or lasting longer than it did, right? I think he, like many of us men, see Meg Thee Stallion, think she's a very attractive woman, and have sexual desires with a Meg Thee Stallion. You know what it is. Like it's whether you are someone who is a monogamous dater, or someone who likes to just go around having sex with attractive people or whatever. You look at Meg Thee Stallion, and if you think that's attractive, you've probably had thoughts of having sex or saying, I would have sex with Meg Thee Stallion. It's just what it is. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, Klay is probably another man who has thought that, and, you know, has, I don't know, had the pleasure, I guess, the luck, whatever you want to call it, and maybe even doing that with Meg Thee Stallion. All right, we're not here to talk about their sex life, but, or past sex life or whatever, right? But if that's all he wanted, again, it's obvious that he should have, you know, to me, he should have said something about it. But we're not here, again, to discuss that per se. I think that the reason why, you know, Klay did what he did, and like I stated, is because he wants to feel like a man again. Klay Thompson is, if you've been following his career, right? You don't even, and that's the crazy thing. The people saying things like he's a nobody are just clearly showing their ignorance, and we're not even gonna talk about that because, again, that's the class war bullshit that I think it's weird that broke motherfuckers talk about. People who are not millionaires always trying to categorize millionaires as broke. Weirdest shit I've ever seen as far as the internet era goes. It's one of the weirdest shit people do on the internet. People who don't have millions of dollars calling someone with millions of dollars, and millions are worth millions, if not billions of dollars, broke because they have $200 million less or $100,000 less than their partner. It's the craziest shit. Both these motherfuckers outbank you by thousands and thousands of hundreds of thousands of dollars. But they're broke and you're not. Your baby daddy, baby mama definitely ain't got no fucking money. And yet this person is broke because you don't know exactly their career path because you never heard of them, because you don't pay attention to sports or you don't listen to Meg's music. But at the same time, no one knows who the fuck you are. Neither is the person you're riding for. But anyways, Klay Thompson, when I say feeling like a man again, what I'm saying is if you've been following Klay Thompson's career, he's been in the league for 13 years now. All right? I believe 13 going on 14. He spent the majority of his career with the Golden State Warriors. He ended up winning, I believe, 3 titles with them and 1 with the Mavericks. Sports fans, feel free to check me on that. So but I do know he's got 4 rings in total. Nonetheless, it might be all 4 with the Warriors, but I do know that Klay Thompson, and the reason why I called him Ice Tray Klay, is because dude was a monster. I think dude is still good. I mean, you can attribute his lack of minutes being the reason why his numbers don't look the same, because I was looking at his stats the other day. Shout out to basketballreference.com. You can go and check out his any NBA player stats on there, but basketballreference.com. Go check them out. But I was looking at Klay's stats the other day because I was writing about this very topic. Did my phone go off? That's right. We checking our phone in the middle of this. Anyways, I was writing about this very topic, and that's why you should subscribe to the Substack, because topics that are discussed here get discussed there first, and even there are exclusive videos and topics that I only discuss on Substack, so they get posted there first before they get posted on YouTube. So subscribe to the Substack, especially if you want that exclusive content. Enough of the free promo for myself, but I was on Basketball Reference and I was looking at his stats. But even prior to looking at his numbers per se, again, as someone who has followed Klay Thompson for the majority of his career, if not all of his career, professional career at least, right? I don't be looking into college and high school stuff. That ain't me. I only know players when they hit the pros. But so because I've been paying attention for all of his professional career, I am very much aware of the decline in his career. Now, he suffered a nasty injury. 2 nasty injuries to where, that caused him to, his numbers to decline and for him to be at where he is now within his career. That isn't just a numerical hit as far as his work performance on the basketball court. You can tell it's a hit to his ego. It's a hit to his self-esteem. It's a hit to how he feels. Yeah, his ego, his self-esteem, all of that, Now, how is all this relative to him cheating on Meg the Stallion? Well, if you fucking listen, you'll listen. You know what I'm saying? But no, how all this is relative to him cheating on Meg the Stallion. Men, and I'm speaking again as a man who's been there, right? Men, we unfortunately, maybe it's a primal thing, but I'm still going to say it's unfortunately, because in a lot of cases, we do this at the detriment to ourselves, just like how Klay is doing it, right? But we tend to pride ourselves, or at least when we want to feel like we're a man again, like we're of value, we tend to attribute our sexual partners to that. And oftentimes, more times than we probably should be able to do it, than one would probably want to admit, to be honest with you. We do that when it comes, like, again, when it comes to sexual partners, and we are just having sex, meaningless sex, to fill a void that we have within ourselves, meaning that we want to feel like a man again. So if you're the type of man who gets complimented a lot for, how you perform sexually, you when there are moments where you're not feeling like a man, you're feeling like a failure, you're feeling like a loser, all this other shit, you know, you're gonna find someone that you've either had sex with in the past, or find someone that's willing to, have sex with you. Give them the work so you can get that instant gratification, that instant feel good, not just from the orgasm, and of course the physical feeling of having sexual intercourse, but you're gonna, feel, you're gonna get that gratification that you're yearning for at the moment in time from that individual. Again, I'm not saying this is an excuse for Klay for. I'm not even cutting out these trades, by the way. They staying in, but I'm not excusing Klay Thompson's behavior, or any other man, or anybody for that matter, because I don't think it's just men who do this. A lot of the women who tout about their wet ass pussies, like Meg the Stallion has done, or their wet mouths, or what they can make a man do based on their body, whether it's because a man having sexual access to their body, or just just simply physically looking the physical features of their body. A lot of that is not coming from a place of self-esteem, of I just love my body so much. You can love your body for sure, but when you attribute all of your being to your body, or to your sexual prowess, most of it comes because you don't feel like you have much else to offer, or the accolades, the accomplishments, the things that you have achieved in your lifetime that is outside of your physical and sexual life, your physical features and your sex life. These things to you are fleeting in a way, right? It's like fleeting happiness. And in order for you to make you feel good again about yourself, you have to then seek that outside validation. And a lot of the times people seek outside validation about who they are is through sex. That's why one of the reasons why sex is so much enjoyable. Again, I'm no psychologist, right? I'm letting y'all know right now, again, I'm not a psychologist. The 2 years I went to school for psychology was enough for me to say, yeah, this is not a field I want. That I want to go deeper into professionally, And then I went into a field that is totally unrelated to psychology. Ended up getting my bachelor's in creative writing. I'm an author. I'm a writer at the end of the day, but I'm a thinker. I'm an observer. I'm someone who's aware of myself. I'm aware of times where I have stepped out in relationships, or that I've had meaningless sex in and out of relationships, or times I've got with partners simply because they looked good and I just wanted to fuck. And then it came a time where no longer the sex was bringing me some type of joy, and I either left or stepped out, or again, just times where I was single and having sex just to feel good. There have been people that I had sex with one time, swore off, it was like, I ain't never stick my dick in this bitch again. Next time I was feeling down about myself, feeling like a fucking loser, guess who I went to? That bitch. I said I was never gonna fuck again. So it's like, this shit is happening. I'm just keeping it real with y'all. This shit happens, and this is the stuff that men go through, especially when we are feeling insecure about ourselves, because we're either, again, insecure about our careers paths, or some other insecurity that we're having, we then turn to sex, because again, unfortunately, we've been bred that the amount of sexual partners also is a barometer of how manly we are, how much of a man we are. And I say all that just to say, you tie that into what's happening with Ice Trey, can't get his name right, Klay Thompson. Yeah, like it's to me at least, it's that there's a there is what I'm trying to say. Like, there's a correlation happening in that realm. Now, you can be like, yo, you tripping, you lying, he's just a dirty, low-down dog, and he is all this other shit, and you might be right. It might be a situation to where, and I won't be surprised, someone who is a psychologist or someone who has a bigger following than me sees this video, and then they regurgitate everything I said in this video, aside from the names being wrong and all the other shit, but they pretty much take the gist of this video, use academic terms, or use whatever, terms. It won't even have to be academic, because again, not even a psychologist or people who are not psychologists do the same thing too. But they'll see this video, see this, and then again, the very people they will say it in a way that other people will understand it. And it's not because I'm speaking some Klingon language that nobody in the world understands except for me and the other two people from Mercury and some shit. But like, it's because, well, it's a number of things. It could be because, I'm not using academic language, but no, it's because people tend to take messages like this, and instead of valuing it for what it is, they look at the channel. They look at the individual. I might not look the part of a educated person, so they're not going to take me seriously until somebody who looks the part says the exact same thing I say, and then now the message is out there. My channel analytics might not match the what they deem of a valuable channel, meaning somebody with a lot of followers, so they must be saying something real. No one watches this channel, so like, bullshit like that. None of that stuff has to do with Trey, Klay, Payday, hey, nobody. It's got nothing to do with anybody, right? Klay Thomas, none of that. But in all seriousness, I think that's what's happening here, what we're seeing with Klay Thomas. Klay Thompson can all the interviews or whatever say things like, he can express his contentment with where he is at. He can say he's happy all he wants. But I think it's obvious that the man isn't necessarily happy with where he is in his life right now and the decline that has happened within his career. To no fault of his own. Those were some nasty injuries. Those are unfortunate situations. I'm still rooting for Klay as a player, a basketball player. All right, let me make that clear. I'm still rooting for Klay. Been a fan of him, man. I'm Splash Brothers era, all that stuff, the dynasty with the Warriors, all of that stuff. What they did over there was magical. Whether I'm a Warriors fan or not, I'm not, but what they did was magical, and Klay Thompson will always be a part of that NBA history. He will always be a part of that. But again, him not being able to replicate that in Dallas or wherever he goes, if he continues playing basketball, that doesn't mean the man's a failure. And one of the bigger messages that I said in my Substack blog that I want to reiterate here is, how do we fix this issue of, for men and women, really? Because like I said, I don't believe this is just a man's issue, but I'm speaking from a man's perspective as a man, and we're speaking about a man who cheated. That's why I keep bringing up men, right? But how do we fix this issue is, I believe that there needs to be an ego death. I think once we strip away everything that we feel about ourselves, regarding our accomplishments, regarding who we are, as in who we, how people perceive us, also who we are in regards to our sexual partners or partners of the past, right? Once you take all that away and you decide that is not who I am, or at least you are willing to experiment with you not identifying with your ego, there are not going to be moments to where you want to. And once you master that, let me just say that, you're not gonna come to moments to where you feel as though you need to do something to live up to what your ego says you has to be. There's always going to be an ego part of us. I don't think the ego is necessarily a bad thing to have, but I do think that, like many times, our ego gets in our way, and because of that, we end up making decisions and doing things, allowing that voice, allowing that ego to take over, in the situation again of cheating. When your ego says you need to fuck something to feel good, or you need to feel like a man again, or feel valued as a woman, or feel valued, feel wanted as a human being, so you need to go do these things, or need to go all this other stuff. That's the ego speaking. When you dig deeper, you figure out, you tend to ask yourself, why does this matter? If whatever you used to use to define yourself matters, if it does matter to you, or if it ever did matter, why? You start to ask yourself these questions. You start to ask yourself about the actions that you take. I'm not saying you become some sexless monk. Maybe you might go that route, but maybe you might go the route where sex becomes more of a healthy thing, rather than a thing of, again, masking, numbing, or a quick fix to a temporary problem that you keep doing over and over and over again, because obviously it was a quick fix, and like all quick fixes, the remedy doesn't last. It doesn't rectify anything. So that's my thoughts on it. You can take it or leave it. You can agree, but what you can't do is do some bullshit like discredit me and then give someone else credit for saying the same shit. That's smack worthy. Anyways, y'all let me know your thoughts. Do you think I'm tripping? Like I said, it could simply just be this man is non-committal, and he just needs to be real about that, instead of getting into relationships with people and leading them on into thinking that he wants to commit to them, when he just wants to have sex with them for as long as he feels he wants to have sex with them, and then he wants to dip out and go look at architecture and look at buildings and stuff, because I know he's into like architecture and shit. So yeah. Anyways, like, comment, share, subscribe, and until next time, until next video, y'all take care. Peace.